the Detroit Lions. For people that are just tuning in, this is our off-season program, All 32, where we will preview every team in the entire NFL. And like I said, we're doing the Detroit Lions right now. We will go over last season, everything that kind of went on, go into the off-season, go over any roster changes, draft, etc., and then give our predictions for this upcoming 2025 season. So let's get into the Detroit Lions, who went 15-2 last year, first place in the NFC North. Their best regular season, tied for the most wins in 2024, won the division title, swept the North for the first time ever, 6-0. Road performance, 8-0. First time ever since 1975. Playoffs, secured the number 1 seed and the first round bye. Some history. They're 15-2, tied for the most wins in a single season in the NFC. Second team to go over 15-2 and lose their first playoff game. A plus 222 point differential, a plus 564 and 564 points scored, highest in 2024, fourth most ever. Anything that you want to add so far?
I mean, this team was biblical on offense.
Something too that I think that kind of got overshadowed towards the end of the year just due to injuries is they finished with the 7th ranked defense in points allowed. Now, I alluded to it, but I want to touch on the playoffs pretty hard because they had an amazing season. They had the first round bye, like I mentioned, but they ran into the Washington Commanders. And looking back, we've talked about it a few times, but looking back on it, this loss is inexcusable. This is the worst loss of the entire season. They were 9.5 point favorites at home off of a first round bye. And like I said, this is the worst loss of the season. And I think it's due to one thing. And I've been on this for a very long time, and it is because of Jared Goff. And I think now it is just going to get worse because we're going to talk about like some of the coaches' changes and everything that's been going on. But Jared Goff has been blessed with not good, great situations. 2016 to 2020, LA Rams. 2016, started 7 games, 0-7 with Jeff Fisher. 2017, 11-4. Head coach, Sean McVay. Offensive coordinator, Matt LaFleur. Lost in the wild card round. 2018, same exact cast. 13-4, 2 playoff wins. Lost to the Patriots in the Super Bowl where they put up what? Was it? It was 9 points. They put up 9 points, right? In that Super Bowl.
Was it like 14-9 or like
13-9?
Something like that.
13-9. And then 2019, 9-7, missed the playoffs. Same cast. 2020, 10-6. Sean McVay, another familiar name that you're going to see here. Kevin O'Connell is the offensive coordinator. Won the wild card, lost in the divisional. After that season, 2021, Sean McVay decides to trade Jared Goff for Matt Stafford. In that same season, the Rams went on to win the Super Bowl, and the Lions went 3-13-1 with Dan Campbell as the head coach and Anthony Lynn as the OC. Then in 2022, Dan Campbell is the head coach, Ben Johnson is the OC. They go 9-8 and miss the playoffs. 2023, same cast, 12-5, won the wild card, won the divisional, and then divisional round they won the wild card, won the divisional, lost to the Niners in the championship, and then 2024, 15-2, all-time season. And then I alluded to it. Home against a rookie quarterback, 9.5 point favorites. Jared Goff absolutely pisses down his fucking leg with 3 interceptions. I just think there's a very hard ceiling with Goff. And now the people are going to talk about how great his floor is and look at how successful that he's been. That's just flat a product of the system. With the Rams, I look at all the names I listed off of the great offensive talents that
3 head coaches,
great offensive coordinators and stuff that he was working with the Rams. Insane. O'Connell,
those guys are all considered some of the smartest offensive guys in the NFL
ever. And then they Sorry, what just happened? What was the last thing you heard me say? They have all gone on and been successful in their roles, and I'm officially worried. People are like the Jared Goff floor. I'm officially worried about the floor because I don't think that there is a good offensive system put in place right now in Detroit. And I think that's fair to say when you have somebody who was as talented as Ben Johnson, who put up all those biblical on offense last season and kind of turned Jared Goff into the player that he was. And I don't think that Dan Campbell is an offensive wizard. Like, obviously, he's more of a culture guy. And this can't be overstated. Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator, he left with the Bears. Antoine Randall, wide receivers coach, left with the Bears. JT Barrett, quarterback coach, left with the Bears. Tanner Eggstrand, the passing game coordinator, who probably would have been the offensive coordinator for the Lions, he left for the offensive coordinator job for the Jets. The system is gone. And even if they have another guy in the building who took the OC job, I am worried about Jared Goff, who has, when he's had his most success, it's been because he's been system dependent. And I want us to keep that in mind when we talk about the Lions this offseason and going into this year. I just said a lot. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in there that the Lions really didn't start having this type of success on offense until Ben Johnson started taking over the play calling. And I think it was 2021. It was originally Anthony Lynn, and then it was given to Ben Johnson. And from there is where we really began to see this Lions offense click. Obviously, they picked up some better players along the way. They got Gibbs. They got Amon-Ra before 20 or after 2021, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So undoubtedly they got better players, which that helps a lot. But they weren't putting up anywhere close and having anywhere close to the amount of success that they were on offense until Ben Johnson started taking over play calling. And I think we're going to see just how important and how great of a play caller he was in Detroit now that he's gone. I don't expect this Lions team to I think they go back to being a middle of the road type offense, maybe a little bit above average just because I think they are so talented, but we're not going to see. Yeah. Amon-Ra is still good. Like Laporta's still good. They still have good players. But the play calling and the creativity on offense that Ben Johnson brought to the table for this team can't be understated. It was what made Jared Goff look like a top 10 quarterback.
Yeah. And I know that a lot of people are probably not going to love to hear that, like if you are a Lions fan, but it's the reality. Like this guy, what happened last year and the years before that, when you had the 49ers against the ropes and probably the best opportunity to get to the Super Bowl, that is the most that you're getting out of this team. You're not going to have an all-time historic great offense like you did last season. That's going to regress. Everything about what has happened over the last 2 years is going to regress just because the amount of people who are out the door. And it's not like a situation where I said it when the first thing that happened when the Rams got a more talented quarterback than Jared Goff into the system, what happened? They went and won a Super Bowl.
Yep.
And you look at what happened when he was with that Lions team, it was a wreck. And getting back to, like you said, like now that some time has passed, some people have left the building, some key players have been injured. Like you already are starting to see some injury concerns rolling out of their camp where there's guys getting injured every single day. And then on top of that, to have all of those important coaches just continue to kind of walk out of the door. I just think that it's time to pump. We said it about the Commanders, but it's time to pump the brakes on the Lions because I think a lot of people have kind of crowned them as that team to be an auto bid into to win the division pretty much and be that team. I don't think that's where they're at. I mean, I will talk about this playoff loss one more time, then we'll move on. Every single person in the media, every single person that you talk to in your group chats I got patronized for saying that I thought the Commanders were going to beat the Lions. We got patronized for making a YouTube video about how we were planting our flags on the fact that the Lions weren't going to go to the Super Bowl in December before the season was even over. And we kind of saw all of the foreshadowing happening. And now I'm at the point now where it's like, it's way worse than it was last year. And I feel like people are not realizing that yet.
The bright side of it is, though, that you get Aiden Hutchinson back. But the thing with coming back from an injury is it usually takes like a year to get to full speed, is kind of what we've noticed. So, but having Aiden Hutchinson is better than not having Aiden Hutchinson, I will say. I'm less concerned
I agree
about
with you.
about like, I don't know. I'm not like concerned as much about the defense. I think I'm more concerned about like the play calling in the big moments and what's going to happen when you get Jared Goff out there in a critical game, because we've seen him fold.
I'm equally. I will say I think this defense is going to be very pedestrian. I think
it'll be better. I think it'll be fine. I'm more so worried about the offensive side of the ball. And there's better players over there.
Yeah, having a middle of the pack defense though doesn't do much for you.
Agreed. I agree. But I'm trying to find a bright spot here for the Lions fans is you get your best defensive player back. Although he's probably a year away from being the Aiden Hutchinson that we knew.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with that as well, is like that injury was brutal. And I know that there has been some like glaring reports about how good he looks, whatever. Game speed, gameplay, all of that is way different. And so I'm with you on that. I'm a little pump the brakes on what he could be going into this season.
Another thing though is they did get a lot of pressure last season. Like they were pressuring the quarterback, but one thing that they didn't really do well is finish plays and get sacks. So like they're going to have to improve on that side of it as well if they're going to expect this defense to keep them in some games, because that's kind of what their forte was at the end of last year after they got so banged up. It was like they just couldn't get a sack, and you can kind of see that play out in that Washington game where Jaden Daniels was just doing whatever he wanted.
Literally. All right, well, let's get more positive now. Sorry to do that, but it's something that needs to be highlighted and something that needs to be taken into account while we're doing this. But to go into some stats from last season, team DVOA second behind the Ravens. Offensives, one of the best offenses ever historically. Yeah. I mean, they were elite. Defense, it was just middle of the pack. Points per game, 32.8 first. Yards per game, 410 second. Points allowed, second. Yards per game on the defense side of the game, 17th. Do you have any team stats that you want to get into? Because I want to highlight Jahmyr Gibbs and some other players.
I have they did win the turnover margin, which obviously helps. They were +9 in one-score games. So 8 points or less, they were 7-2. Field goal games, they were 4-0. All great things. You're going to have to finish the season with numbers like that if you're going to win 15 games. And I would say it's good for them that they're able to pull out some wins on these one-score games. I mean, ultimately, it didn't really pan out at the very end, but going 15-2, you got to be happy about that as a Lions fan, even though it didn't end how you wanted it, because you have just been subjected to such god-awful football for the last 20 years that you're finally trending upwards, and who knows, it might all come crashing down this year.
Yeah, which would be unfortunate, but it's the way she goes. To continue on, I just want to highlight Jahmyr Gibbs. Like I said, 250 carries, 1,400 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5.6 yards per carry, fifth, tied for first in rushing touchdowns. Receiving, he's going to be a crazy receiving threat. 52 receptions, 517 yards, 4 touchdowns, 9.9 yards per catch. Touchdowns, 20 total touchdowns. Like I said, 16 rushing, 4 receiving. Led the NFL, set Lions record, single season record. And then one of 4 players in NFL history with 1,900 plus scrimmage yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 receiving touchdowns in the season. David Johnson, Marshall Faulk, OJ Simpson set an NFL record with 7 straight games of more than 5.5 yards per carry. Yeah, I mean, newsflash, Jahmyr Gibbs is pretty good.
Yeah, one of the best running backs in the NFL. He's going to be an absolute monster again this year, I think. And I know that Dave Montgomery isn't like what he kind of used to be, but I still love the backfield of those two together. But they made the right decision making Jahmyr Gibbs the guy because he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I hope that I know that they love the reliability and like the sort of game that David Montgomery gives them, but I think it should be roles reversed at this point. Jahmyr Gibbs is way too talented, and he's proven that he could be a 3-down back once David Montgomery went down last season.
For sure.
I feel like you have to lean into that. He's your most dynamic player on offense, like by far.
Yeah.
And then kind of have David Montgomery be that Punisher type role when needed. But I know that he's really good as well. I'm not saying that he's not, but Jahmyr Gibbs is special, and that's the different level of somebody who's good and somebody who is just downright especially.
Oh yeah. Lean into Jahmyr Gibbs undoubtedly, but it's nice to have David Montgomery as in your back pocket as your second string.
Getting into some storylines from last season, injuries. They had an NFL high of 16 players placed on IR, plus some other injuries, guys that weren't even placed on IR. Highlighted, like we said, Aiden Hutchinson with a broken tibia and fibula. I mean, that was week 6. Like I said, we're questioning that turnaround of what he could possibly be. That was that type of injury that they didn't even show on TV because of how bad it was.
Yeah.
And obviously he had to get some emergency surgery. I think Aiden Hutchinson will be a good player for a very long time in the NFL. I don't think that he's going to be his dominant self next season, this upcoming season, just because this injury that he had was very, very major. So just something to keep in mind. I know the expectations are high for this team, but when somebody has this big of an injury, you have to cater them back a little bit. So, yeah. Any headlines for you or storylines for you that you wanted to touch on, or are you good?
I mean, I think it's pretty much just like what is this offense going to look like? And I mean, their defense too. They lost 2 coordinators, offensive defensive coordinator. What is this team going to look like? I know that they brought in a guy that has connections to Ben Johnson, or not to Ben Johnson, excuse me, to Dan Campbell. Their new OC is John Morton, but I don't remember who the new DC is going to be.
I couldn't tell you. I literally couldn't tell you. We can look at their website real quick.
Hold on, I got it. Kelvin Shepard. So 2 new coordinators on offense and defense. I don't even think I think those 2 are obviously important, but I think like one of the things that we didn't really touch on, but probably will here, is the Kevin Zeitler retirement is just going to be so significant for this offense. I have a handful of stats here, but if you want to, we can touch on that.
No, go ahead. I mean, that was one of the 2025 offseason. We're going into roster losses. Kevin Zeitler was highlighted that. So go ahead and do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin Zeitler's gone. They lost Frank Ragnow. 2 huge pieces of that offensive line, 2 experienced guys on that offensive line. I said Kevin Zeitler. I meant the Frank Ragnow loss. I think that one's going to be much bigger. He was the number 1 run blocking center in 2024, 2nd graded overall center in 2024. He's been one of the best centers in the last 3 years. And they're going to have to replace him with a guy that's played 0 NFL snaps at center. I think it's going to be Tate Ratledge, who he played center at Georgia, so it's not like he's a bum, but a rookie coming in at center can be sketchy. Not a rookie, excuse me, but a new guy coming in at center is a red flag. And
Yeah.
At that point, they're going to have to shuffle other guys around on this offensive line. You've got to fill 2 spots that were really good, and that offensive line for the Lions has been really solid for a handful of years. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to look like moving forward.
Even when the team's talking about him, Frank Ragnall, the center, is what you're talking about, right? Not Kevin Zeitler. Okay. The team and the coaching staff and everything, and how much he meant to them and how much he was helping with protections. And we talked about this with like offensive line groups, is like the most successful offensive line groups is just the guys who have played together for probably some multiple seasons and guys who don't have injuries within that unit and play a ton of snaps together. And to lose somebody like that's one of those situations where people will downplay it because it's like, oh, it's just a center, it'll be okay. But when games actually start to get played, it'll be a glaring hole in that offensive line, and something that they have already stated themselves they're going to miss going into the season.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's been one of the best centers in the NFL for the last couple of years, and it's not easy to just bring in another guy that's going to give you the same type of production and be the same crafty veteran, like you said, calling and helping with protections and dealing with plays. Like, you're bringing in a guy, if Tate Ratledge is going to be the guy, that hasn't played a snap at center in the NFL. So we've seen how that has played out before elsewhere, and like I said, it's kind of a red flag for me.
Yeah, some more losses: Kevin Zeitler, Carlton Davis, Zadarius Smith. Do you have anybody else? It feels like they kind of kept everybody intact here.
I mean, I have a couple other guys, but you named the three big ones basically. There's only 3 other guys that are on another team as of when I looked this up, but they did move on from Allen Robinson.
Yeah. To continue the free agency, Kyle Allen is the backup quarterback, Grant Stewart, DJ Reed at corner, who was really good for the Jets last season. So they kind of fixed that. Carlton Davis for DJ Reed, which is probably an upgrade, honestly. Roy Lopez, Kevin Yeback, the tight end. Honestly, a very low-key offseason from a roster losses and a free agency perspective. I don't think they really need to do that much. I don't know what more they really can do, but yeah, I mean, the secondary is probably still going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, they I was convinced at one point that what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. That Terrion Arnold was going to be the best corner coming out of this class, and he has been underwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, let's just call it what it is. He stunk. It was literally like every team was like, "Where's Terrion Arnold?" And let's target him because he's going to give us a free first down because he's a walking PI.
Yeah. And maybe that's just a first year, like figure it out as a rookie type thing. You got to hope that if you're a Lions fan, but if not, then that's a rough situation to be in. Drafting a first round rookie corner, starting him right away, and it just not working out.
I agree. NFL draft, Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Don't really love him as a player at all. Tate Ratledge, who's going to be playing center for them. Isaac Tesla.
Nasty.
Wide receiver from Arkansas. And then some other guys that, if Lions fans tell me that their 7th round safety that they drafted is going to be good for them, then you guys are geniuses. Yeah, this offseason, I don't love what they did in this offseason in any way, shape, or form. I feel like you probably should have gone a few different directions. I feel like they had some major losses on the O-line. This was an offensive line rich draft where if you could potentially get aggressive, you could have got somebody. I mean, Josh Simmons fell to 32 to the Chiefs. They also didn't get any edge help. And we talked about, even when Aiden Hutchinson was fully healthy, the main thing that everybody was talking about with this Detroit Lions team is finding somebody who could play opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. And I think him coming off this injury and still not addressing that other side of the defensive line, I feel like they don't really have much depth at that position. And I don't think their starters are that good outside of Aiden Hutchinson, who's special. So I don't really love what they did here. And if Isaac Tesla is good, then like good for them. I just feel like they didn't really need much wide receiver help at all.
I mean, I don't think they did either, but from what I've seen of him in preseason, he's been kind of balling. Again, it's preseason, so I'll take that with a grain of salt. But I don't hate them addressing defensive tackle and addressing offensive line, because those were, again, like their defensive line was banged up a lot last year. DJ Reader missed games too. So I can't sit here and say like I know about a lot about Tyleik Williams, but them at least addressing that, I think, is a step in the right direction. And then going into the season, you didn't expect your second round guard to probably be playing center. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, like they made a decent choice taking another offensive lineman when they took him, who nobody thought Frank Ragnow was going to retire unless he told them that prior to the season, and in which I would have liked to see them, or prior to the offseason, in which I would have, or the draft, in which I would have liked to see them take another offensive lineman in their first round. But I think they kind of just like fell into Tate Ratledge after hearing that Ragnow was going to retire. It's like, oh, well, thank God we took this guy.
Yeah, maybe you're right. I think that
I don't
what it
know.
comes down to, and then if Tyleik Williams is good and Tate Ratledge is really good, then whatever. But I even think that it goes back to the Lions GM, like trying to be like a heat checky type guy, where obviously some of the picks for them have paid off, like a Jahmyr Gibbs when he got taken early. Everybody like freaked out about that. Then in the same breath, they took an off-ball linebacker in that same draft early. He's been non-existent for them and not a good player. So I feel like what the perception of what this GM has been doing over the last couple of years is super overinflated at this point. And I don't think that he's just willing, like the heat checkiness that he was kind of doing last year and up to 2 seasons ago last year. And then this draft, I feel like that their draft classes haven't been hitting as hard as like the Lions fans kind of like to act like they do.
I will say, I believe his name's Jack Campbell, linebacker from Iowa that they took. He did just lead their team in tackles.
That's fine.
Which I would say that's fine. Like I wanted to just push back a little bit, because I wouldn't say that he's like nothing, absolute nothing if you're leading the team in tackles, but that could be a reason.
Was that a first round draft pick worthy? Do you think?
No, probably not. But living up to expectations, he hasn't. Yes.
Like I'm looking at who. Like let's just look defensively here. Like last year, Zaire Franklin led the league in tackles. Like, was that impactful to you?
Probably not.
That's what I mean. I feel like the tackles stat like is maybe a little overinflated. But listen, I'm fine with the pushback. He's not a complete zero. I just think when you were in a draft and at the time
being a first round pick,
they got pushback on taking Jahmyr Gibbs in the first and an off-ball linebacker in the first as well. Looking back on that, Jahmyr Gibbs is a smash. That pick probably could have been used differently. Looking back on
you take 1 for 2.
Yeah, or you could have gotten 2 for 2 in the first round, but
it is hindsight is 2020 now.
Like I said, this GM, everybody is like really high. Why can't I think of his name off the top of my head right now? The Lions GM, Brad Holmes.
Yeah.
Brad Holmes has gotten like a ton of like love, and I feel
he deserves it.
Why?
The Lions have been fucking awful for how many years?
Real quick.
And he finally has put together
last year's draft. Terrion Arnold, corner. He stinks. Ennis Rakeshaw has been injured the entire time. Giovanni Manu. They took an offensive tackle from British Columbia, from Canada. All-time heat check play. Didn't pay out.
That, yes. Yeah.
Sione Vaki, the running back from Utah, not going to play. Mekhi Wingo, not going to play. Christian Mahogany, I don't know if he plays for them or not. It sounds like he does. He's got a cool last name. And then let's just go back to the Lions draft the year before. I'm just talking this out, and then we can move on.
Yeah.
My bad. First round pick. This is the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs, 12th overall. At 18th overall, they took Jack Campbell. Then in the second round, they took Sam Laporta. Then they took Brian Branch in the second round. Hendon Hooker in the third. Braudon Martin as a defensive tackle. Colby Sordahl and Antone Green. You have Brian Branch, who's a starter in the second round. Sam Laporta, who's a good tight end for them. And then Jack Campbell at 18th. And then Jahmyr Gibbs at 12th. I'm not saying that this isn't a good draft. Just saying that taking an off-ball linebacker at 18th was crazy. So now we get into another draft that he's doing. I want to monitor this situation moving forward. Is that fair?
That's fair, but I think he does deserve credit because he has brought in like this. I'm looking at 2021, the year he was hired. And that was the draft that he got. He had Penei Sewell and Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round.
Great picks.
And those are two cornerstone pieces of your team.
And then next
year,
say I
know.
What did you get?
I can't. I'm getting there right now.
Aiden Hutchinson. You got Aiden Hutchinson, which was
I know.
I'm
trying
pick.
to. Correct. I'm trying to see who they got like in some of these later rounds. Josh Pascal. Don't know who that is.
That's the one name you pulled.
Yeah, that was the second round. Third round was, of course, there's Kirby Joseph.
He's good. He's really good.
4th round was no 4th round.
Let's monitor it.
I'll monitor it, but right now I think he's done a very good, a good job. He's done a solid job.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm not saying that. I just think that it's kind of like people love to he's heat checky right now, where he nailed those few drafts. Now these last 3, let's just pump the brakes a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Okay. Now the Vegas win total for them this season is 10.5. To win the North is plus 155, plus 1,000 to win the Super Bowl. What are you thinking right now? What do you think of that, of those odds across the board as I just said those?
So at the time that I got this, their Super Bowl odds were at 1,100. So it looks like some people are taking some of the value on that.
This was last month I did this.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't even know what the date was that I had this done, but either way,
it's probably around the same.
I mean, based off of what I think is going to happen for them this season, I don't love any of these bets.
I mean, they won 15 games last season. The Vegas win total has them automatically at 4 games worse than what they were last year. They're not even the teams at the top. The first 4-5 teams that we've done, they've all been 11.5 wins. If you are the premier team in the NFL, Chiefs, Eagles, Ravens. you're at 11.5. Bills 11.5. Right here, they are automatically thinking they're 4 games worse than what they were last year. Something definitely to monitor, and I don't know. I'm worried about this team. I really am. I'm genuinely worried.
Well, yeah, you'll see how worried I am once I tell you this record prediction.
Some player awards, just to throw it out there. Gibbs, Offensive Player of the Year, plus 1,000. Hutchinson, offensive Comeback Player of the Year, plus 325. 2025 season. I want to just touch on this rest advantage, disadvantage. They have a historic rest edge with plus 13 days net largest of any team since 2000, 8 games with the rest advantage. Minimal travel, just 1,100 miles traveled, 4th lowest in the NFL.
It's crazy.
And then strength of schedule, 11 games versus playoff teams, 2nd hardest. I don't think any of that matters. We're already seeing stuff pop up with some injury luck with them early on in the season. It's definitely concerning. I want you to go first though with your playoff prediction, because it sounds like you're going to be rough on this team. What do you have?
So some of these key matchups I have: week 3 against the Ravens, 6 against the Chiefs, 10 against the Commanders, 11 against the Eagles. They have the 3rd toughest schedule, like you said. The rest advantage plays in their favor immensely, but as far as the rest of this division, so they barely beat the Bears last year. I think they end up splitting with the Bears this year. I think the Bears will be better. I think did they lose a game to the Packers last year? No.
They swept the division.
I think they split with the Packers this year. I don't know what we're going to get with the Vikings, but I think they're such a well-coached team that I could see them out-coaching the Lions for a game, and I think they could win a game against the Lions again this year. Or again, the Lions this year. With that being said, I have them going 8-9.
Yeah.
I have them losing 7 more games that they did last year. I think losing
Crazy.
2 offensive coordinators, that plus the combination of the 3rd toughest schedule, plus losing one of your most important pieces on offense. Their offense last year was also the healthiest in the NFL. I'd be shocked if they end up with that again.
Just historically great.
Yeah, they had a lot of things working in their favor last year, and it felt like that was like really their chance to go and take advantage of it. And they just came out and shit the bed in the playoffs in the first round.
Bad. Yes.
I don't feel great about this team, and I think their division, there's no way they're sweeping their division again next year. I think they probably split with everybody. I could see a world where the Packers beat them twice. But I got them going 8-9.
Yeah, I do. So I want to do a recap of all of these teams at the end after we're doing everything. I had this team originally to miss the playoffs while we were doing this, but as we're recording this, I'm super worried about the Rams, and I think the Rams are coming up on one of the teams that we're going to be doing probably tomorrow. So I actually am starting to kind of shift that, where I'm really worried about the Rams, and I think that this team goes 9-8. I think they're a wild card team. I don't think that we're going to see them have that sort of dominant season that they were. I'm not going to be hell bent on that because I want to review everything after we do all of these. This team is teeter tottering for me on the brink of being a wild card team or not in the playoffs at all. Same reasons that you said. We watched the Eagles do it with the 2 offensive coordinators and how bad it got. Newsflash: the Eagles are way better of a football team on both sides of the football than the Lions are. Hate to break it to you, Lions fans. So they were able to kind of get over the hump just based off pure talent. But I'm worried that with everything that has happened this offseason, and just straight, like I said it at the beginning, just who their quarterback is in Jared Goff, I think we start seeing things look a lot more pedestrian on the offensive side of the football. And I think this defense is going to stink. I think that they're going to be a bottom half of the league type of defense again this year, where they won't be able to stop the run and they won't be able to stop the pass. So I just don't, like I said, I'm just not very high on this team. The only thing that could get them over the hump is if their core guys are just very talented. If Amon-Ra is just still a dog, Jared Goff could still play at a high level. If Jahmyr Gibbs absolutely snaps, and then maybe if Sam Laporta steps up a little bit, he had a big regression year last year. I'm right here with you. This team is teeter-tottering on a wild card team at the highest, or not being in the playoffs at all.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this schedule, and I know the win is set at 10.5. The win total, I don't see 11 wins on this schedule.
No.
I really don't. I don't see it. Even with this ridiculous rest advantage, I just don't see it. I think they lost too much. I think it's going to be tough to replace Ben Johnson as a play caller. I will say that I think having Dan Campbell as your head coach gives you a solid floor, solid foundation for like 6-7 wins. But I think that he's a guy that's going to have to rely on coordinators along the way. And he has to find 2 new ones, and we don't really know what these guys are all about. So I think that leaves a lot of questions, as well as these other issues that we've talked about along the way.
I'm right there with you. I'm happy. Hey, I'm happy that we can share this. Listen, we were the first. We made that video. My chair is like slowly going further and further down.
I can tell.
Like we were on this Lions team to like, it was mid-December and there was like 2 players that got hurt and we were just like, this is it for them. This defense is not a Super Bowl quality defense at all.
No.
I don't care how talented their offense is. This is not a type of team that can go and win the Super Bowl or even make it to the Super Bowl at that matter. So I think that me and you I think people will be mad at that prediction. Like, I think people will probably, I mean, there has been nothing that bugs me more this year in the media than like everybody pretty much having the exact same outcome that happened last year. That's going to happen this year. Yeah. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to be different or like throw something out crazy, but like at least use some sort of judgment, because not the same thing isn't going to happen that happened last year, this year. I mean, plain and simple. And I think the Lions are going to be one of those teams of regression.
Yeah, historically, 3 new teams make the playoffs every year, and I can see a world where this team is not one of them.
I'm right there with you. One last thing. Cam Hayward. I am looking to be valued. I know what I bring to this team. I'm capable of on and off the field, and he's willing to sit out to get his salary right. The Steelers' downfall is going to hit like crack.
They just got it. They just signed him to an extension like a year ago.
It's not enough. Sure. It's not enough.
That's crazy.
Steelers' downfall is going to hit hard, brother.
They just paid DK too. What are you going to pay? He's going to play a year. He's going to play 2 more years.
Hey.
He's 49.
Don't shoot the messenger. Hey.
I know.
It's been great. Text me what you want to do and what you want to do if you want to go tomorrow or whenever you want. I'm going to post these.
I got to go Wednesday.
That's fine. I'm going to post these. Okay. I'm going to watch Monday Night Raw, and I'll talk to you later.
All right. Go Birds.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks and bring it back, man, and take